Morning, everybody. My name is Ron Johnson. I work for the Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity. Thanks for joining us this morning. Our team wants to talk to you about what resources are available to folks affected by a layoff. Many folks are surprised to learn about how many resources are available, all at no cost to you. Specifically, the employment and training piece of our presentation is at no cost, as we have all paid through our federal tax dollars that allow a dislocated worker, that's the person who will be laid off due to no fault of their own, dislocated worker resources. And we're going to talk about what those resources are today. So our team of folks are here to discuss those resources. Lindsay and Leslie are from the American Job Center that serves Kane, Kendall, and DeKalb counties. And they're going to speak directly about those employment and training resources. And let me make an important point that they are here because you are affected by a layoff in that area. But it doesn't matter if you live in a different county, or even if you live in a different state or move to a different state, because you are a dislocated worker, you can access the Dislocated Worker Program, technically called the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act. This is the program that allows for folks who are at risk of layoff or being laid off to utilize those resources. And they're going to talk about that in a second here. Andres Mendez is here from the United States Department of Labor. He's going to speak to continuing health coverage and important retirement benefit information, all very valuable as you make a transition to other employment. And finally, Fernando Reyna is from the Illinois Department of Employment Security, and he's going to speak to unemployment insurance and answer any questions you guys have about that. So as I mentioned, our program is funded by the employment and training piece of our presentation is funded by our federal tax dollars. And because it's a federal program, you can access the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act at an American Job Center anywhere in the United States. And on our website, illinoisworknet.com, if you live outside of Kane, Kendall, and DeKalb, you can find an office locator to find the nearest American Job Center near you. We encourage you to take advantage as soon as possible. And of course, in the current environment, much of what we're going to talk about is done virtually, and we'll explain that process and how you can access services immediately. So with that, our partners, Lindsay and Leslie, I'm going to stop sharing my screen so that they can share theirs. And they're going to talk about employment and training related activities. Please utilize the group chat if you can. Otherwise, we'll allow an option to open up the mic so that you can ask questions through the audio. And feel free to ask questions if you have them. With that, Lindsay and Leslie.
Thank you, Ron. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Leslie Lanto. I'm one of the special program representatives with the Kane County Workforce Development Division. And my contact information is on the screen and on one of the flyers. We serve the counties of Kane, Kendall, and DeKalb. Our office is located in Batavia on First Street. And then due to the COVID situation with our office being closed, we've continued to assist our customers via the phone and Zoom meetings and virtual workshops, just like we're doing today. So we'll be able to continue to assist you in the same way. All of you are able to use our services because the Q Center is located in Kane County. And again, as Ron mentioned, if you live in a different area, you're free to use an American Job Center that's near you. Let me know if you want some help to find the closest office to you. Feel free to email me or phone me, and I can help you with that. And then your layoff letter that you received is your ticket to services, and that's what makes you eligible for our program. So make sure you hang on to that. And as Ron explained, you're all considered to be dislocated workers, which means that you've been laid off at no fault to your own. So our goal here is to help you get back to work and hopefully in a new job where you can earn more money than what you were making when you were laid off. So what are our services? You'll be assigned to a special program representative who will assess your individual situation and find out about your skills and interests. And then we'll discuss your work experience as well. There's typically two tracks that customers might take. The first is help with employment, and this is where we can assist you with developing or updating your resume, maybe identifying job leads and practicing your answers to interview questions, especially if it's been a long time since you've been in the job search process. We also provide virtual workshops on resume writing and job search strategies. And then we work with our business services area that helps to provide job leads that might not be known to the general public. And the second track of services is training. And due to your layoff, you could be eligible for up to $10,000 in training funds. And I want to emphasize that this is not a loan. It's a federal grant that you don't pay back. So the funding, as Ron mentioned, comes from the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, or WIOA. And our goal is to help you determine a suitable training program that will provide you with marketable skills so you can obtain employment. Maybe you'd be looking to upgrade your skills just to add to your current skill sets, or you might want to make a complete career change. And maybe you already have an idea of what kind of training you would want to pursue, but if not, we can help you with that decision. So we just want to make sure that your training program will help you obtain employment in an industry and occupation that's in demand and growing. And there is a list of the WIOA approved training programs on the Illinois workNet website, and that link is also on that Illinois workNet Center flyer. There are a wide variety of training programs. Some examples are healthcare, CDL driving, business, IT or computer related, manufacturing like CNC operation. One of the perks of attending training, which our IDES representative will explain more about, is that you do not have to actively be looking and available for work. But it is important to note that the WIOA training does not extend your unemployment benefits. So we'll help you determine the best length of time for your training program. And if you need a survival job or a part-time job while you're in training, we'll help with that as well. So when you're enrolled in training, we want to help you be successful in completing that training program so you can obtain that stable employment with wages equal to or more than when you were laid off. And again, a special program representative is here to assist you with your employment and training services, so whichever might be most beneficial for you. So what's the next step? We are asking that you would apply online, and that is showing on the screen in front of you. If you can see that, it's also on the flyer at the bottom on the second page of the Dislocated Worker Program flyer. And that website is www.metrowest, metrowest.works, WORKS. And again, it's on that Dislocated program flyer. And my contact information is on that same flyer. So you will be assigned to a special program representative once you complete that application. And again, if you are interested in working with another American Job Center that's closer to you, please let me know and I can help you locate that center. And then at the end of our seminar today, in the chat box, there will be a survey for you to take, and we really are encouraging you to complete that survey. It will help us understand how we can better serve you. You can also provide your contact information there so we can follow up with you. So at this time, if anybody has any questions, I'd be glad to take some questions. If there's no questions, I'm going to turn it over to Lindsay Hutchins, and she's got some information to assist you as well.
Hi everyone, I'm Lindsay Hutchins. I'm the Special Programs Coordinator, and I just wanted to briefly kind of talk to you about, as Leslie mentioned, one of the services we can provide is kind of linking you with some local employers and providing you opportunities. We could even be an advocate on your behalf. So one of the local companies, Buddig, here in Montgomery, in the Montgomery area, is definitely doing some hiring. So just wanted to make you aware that there are some positions available. You can go ahead and apply at their website. That's budig.com. I can pop that link also in the chat for you if you wanted to go and look at their careers. There's a variety of positions available right now. You know, if this is something that you might be interested in, or if you do need some help, maybe updating your resume to fit one of these positions, please make sure that you apply. Let us know. We'd be happy to help you do that. And then too, if you do apply, let us know, because we can definitely reach out to that employer, let them know that we've had some interested candidates, and hopefully be able to set you apart from the rest of the applicants. So I'll also provide everyone with this information, and even if we get your email addresses today too, we could even email the flyer out to you, so you could see what's available for you. But please, if you have questions on any of our career, employment, or training services, feel free to ask. We'd be happy to help you get started in a new career, or help you add skills to your current career set.
Thank you very much, Lindsay and Leslie. Just to be clear, if anybody does have a question right now, if you don't mind raising your hand, utilizing that feature in the Zoom webinar, and we'll wait while you do that. And I neglected to mention that our partners at the American Job Center work with employers in the community. They have identified openings. They will utilize those openings to match their skill sets up with the positions that are available. This is part of what they do, part of their business development. So that's part of what happens at an American Job Center, that they identify open positions in the geographic area. Also, Leslie mentioned that $10,000 grant. As she said, this is not a loan. You do not have to pay it back. So typically, there could be two tracks that when a person goes to an American Job Center or gets involved in an American Job Center, that they get their resume updated and they immediately, or perhaps enhance their interviewing skills. Then they immediately look for employment. Or other folks say, I do need some kind of skills upgrade, credential, certification. Then they can utilize that grant for retraining. So we will look at data that sees what's a high growth career field and determine if they are on a list of approved providers. And you will help with the case manager to research what opportunities might be available. The grant can be used to get a skills upgrade, become more marketable at no cost to you. And again, as Leslie mentioned, you do not have to pay it back. This is one of the best parts of the program as far as I'm concerned. Now, if there are questions, if you, Marcus, if there are any, if folks are raising their hand, we'll definitely answer them. I'll pause to see if there are any questions. And if not, we encourage you, if you can, utilize the group chat and type your question there, and we'll answer it. There's also other important information that we're putting in that group chat. Leslie or Lindsay, was there anything else you wanted to add before we transition?
No, that's everything. We covered our employment and training services. So thank you, Ron.
Thank you very much, and that was great, valuable information. So with that, our next presenter is Andres, and he's from the United States Department of Labor, and he's going to speak to continuing health coverage and important retirement benefit information. One of the things that I value about their office is that when you call them, you get a live person, and they're always helpful with identifying other resources that might be available. And with that, Andres, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure, Ron. So as Ron mentioned, my name is Andres Mendez. I'm with the U.S. Department of Labor, specifically an agency called the Employee Benefits Security Administration, or EBSA for short. And so I'll be talking about both, health coverage, so health benefits, and also retirement plans as well. So a quick little overview of who we are. The Department of Labor's Employee Benefits Security Administration, we administer the Employee Retirement Income Security Act of 1974, otherwise known as ERISA. And of course, that's the federal law that governs retirement plans and health and welfare plans. And so you have certain rights with regards to your health and retirement benefits in terms of protections when you lose your job. If your company provided a group health plan, you may be entitled to continued health benefits for a certain period of time if you cannot find a job immediately. You also may have more affordable or more generous options for health coverage available to you and your family through other group health coverage plans, such as maybe through a spouse's plan or through the individual marketplace and certain other government programs. And I'll go into further detail about this in a moment. The important thing to remember is that most of these benefits, they're time sensitive. So, we need action on your part, and we're more than happy to assist if you do need it. But you need to act on these items in order to protect your benefits. So with regards to health insurance, the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, otherwise known as HIPAA, is one of the first laws designed to protect, dislocated employees. A lot of people know about them regarding the privacy portion of the law that you have to sign or that you receive notice of whenever you go to the doctor. But really, it says in the name itself, the Portability and Accountability Act. It's really designed to create a special enrollment event for when someone leaves the company. And so there are special enrollment rights and other group health coverage plans for workers and their families. And the most common example of this is if your spouse, so if you're married, if your spouse has an employer-provided plan, there is a special enrollment period. It's a month, it's 30 days. The company actually has to allow you to enroll in their healthcare plan, or to request enrollment in their healthcare plan. Another more common, I'd say, option that people will go with, though, we'll get into why some people don't go with this option in a moment, is COBRA. So that's the Consolidated Omnibus Budget Reconciliation Act. COBRA, essentially all you need to know is that it is a federal law that requires employers to allow terminated employees or employees who've experienced a reduction in hours to the point where they no longer qualify to be on the plan to continue coverage under the same exact plan for a period generally of up to 18 months. It can be 36 depending on certain circumstances, but just know that it's very rare. It's usually 18 months. I apologize to everyone for the dog barking in the background. They have us working from home. So yes, you can also apply for and enroll in Medicaid or CHIP at any time of the year. This is, of course, not as time sensitive, but obviously you don't want to be without insurance during the pandemic. So if you qualify, we highly encourage you to go with that option. The Affordable Care Act Marketplace. So the Affordable Care Act reforms back in around 2010. Everybody remembers it colloquially as Obamacare. It actually set forth special enrollment rights for individual coverage under the Marketplace plan. So with this, you will have 60 days to request enrollment in a Marketplace plan. So the way that this works is that you used to be able to go into an office for this. I think that's still the case, but obviously with the pandemic, a lot of offices are closed, if not all of them. So most people's experience with this will be over the phone or online. And I always compare it to buying airplane tickets. Really what it is that you'll create an account. Then once you actually, verify it and log in, or whether you're on the phone, it also depends, you will get asked a series of questions. And really what they're trying to do is they're trying to determine what kind of plans you can afford so that they can know what to recommend to you. And so really, I like the website because it is arranged into tiers going from bronze to silver to gold, kind of like the Olympics. Obviously, a gold plan covers more than a silver plan, which covers more than a bronze plan. They will usually give you a few recommendations, a few suggestions, so maybe like 3 or 4 healthcare plans. They try to make the language as simple as possible for you to compare, apples to apples type of thing. And another cool thing about the website and about calling them and or doing this through correspondence, essentially mail, is that when they ask you these questions, they will also automatically screen you for eligibility of you, your spouse, or your children to participate in, for example, Medicaid or CHIP or any of these other programs available at the state level. So you're kind of, killing two birds with one stone when you do this. The next slide here. So HIPAA, like I said, they offer certain protections for people who lose their healthcare coverage. I kind of already went over this. I jumped the gun a little bit. I apologize. This is basically just going through, what it is that each of these offers. Oh, actually, very important. So as many people might be aware, by this point, the CARES Act was passed a couple months ago towards the end of March. And so we are actually still under a declared national emergency. Now, this does have an effect on COBRA. So if you recall, when I spoke about COBRA, I mentioned that, these are all time sensitive. Generally speaking, COBRA, a person has 60 days to elect whether or not they want to continue coverage under COBRA, whether or not they want to continue, coverage with their same employer plan. And with what's been going on with COVID recently and with the passing of the CARES Act, they've actually used some very interesting language with regards to this, saying that the 60-day time frame for people to elect whether or not they want to continue coverage under the plan will actually begin with the end of the declared national emergency. Obviously, we don't know when that will be, so there is a pretty generous window of time to elect, though we obviously recommend electing as soon as possible if this is going to be an option for you. Generally, what happens is that the employer will have 44 days after you've lost coverage, and that's important to remember. The dates for this, for COBRA and HIPAA special enrollments, the time frame for actually taking action will hinge on what day you actually lose health coverage. So what we've generally found, and these are just observations, again, this is really at the discretion of the plan, but generally people who are terminated before the 15th of the month, their coverage tends to be dropped immediately. Those who are terminated after the 15th of the month, coverage tends to be extended till the end of the month. But again, you'll want to verify with HR on this, and I'm sure that they will be notifying you through correspondence via mail or possibly email. Sometimes employers do that. And then, if you actually do decide that COBRA is an option for you, you'll elect, and there's paperwork that's involved in that. It could also be online. Again, I'm not sure what this particular employer is doing. But once you actually elect, you'll have 45 days, and there's usually a grace period, but at a minimum 45 days to make payment, for your COBRA premiums, which the reason why a lot of people don't go with this option is, of course, that it is pretty expensive, because the employer, all they're required to do is offer you this option. If you were enrolled on the health plan, offer you the option of continuing coverage, but they're not required to contribute anything towards the premium. So in a typical setup, your employer might pay, 80% of the premium, while you pay 20% through your wages or your salary, an automatic deduction on payroll. But under COBRA, you could actually end up paying 100% of the cost plus a 2% fee for keeping you on the plan, essentially an administrative fee. So that you'll want to pay close attention and really coordinate benefits with your HR department and a COBRA administrator if they assign one. It's really just a third party that processes applications and or payment on claims. Continued. Extension of timeframes. Okay. And so another question that comes up a lot, especially with the CARES Act, like I mentioned, is this question about what should and should not be covered by health plans during the pandemic. And so with the CARES Act enacted, the law contains certain provisions relating to employment-based health plans and health insurance issuers that offer group health insurance policies. And so these laws, they require coverage of diagnostic testing for COVID-19 without cost sharing. That means no deductibles, co-pays, or co-insurance would apply to diagnostic testing. and testing can be done without requiring pre-authorization. So as many of you may be aware, maybe not so aware, certain procedures under plans or certain, like tests, they might require pre-authorization under normal circumstances, but apparently the law is waiving that for COVID-19 testing. And so this includes urgent care visits, emergency room visits, in-person, or even telehealth, which has obviously become pretty common to the doctor, that result in an order for or administration of COVID-19 tests, and including where it is rendered by an out-of-network provider. So for this very specific item for COVID-19 testing, they are actually requiring that plans cover, out-of-network providers. And so the law also allows for health savings accounts, so HSAs, and on eligible high deductible plans, you can use money from HSAs to cover telehealth and other remote services without a deductible or deductible below the minimum annual deductible otherwise required by the Internal Revenue Code. So also under these laws, special distributions or loan provisions due to COVID-19, including increased limits and extended payment periods, may be available for participants in some retirement plans. This is really on a case-by-case basis, and we encourage anyone who has any questions to definitely reach out to us. There are 9 benefits advisors, including myself, and we'd be more than happy to assist. For more information, you could also visit our website. It is actually www.dol.gov/agencies/EPSA/coronavirus. I think that's included on the website, but if not, Ron and I can definitely get that to your employer if anyone's interested in looking at these provisions. Okay. We spoke about the individual health insurance through the marketplace. Again, another thing that's time sensitive, 60 days to request enrollment in a marketplace plan. You could do this via mail, by phone, online. You used to be able to do it in an office, but probably not an option anymore. If anyone has any questions, also feel free to ask them through the group chat or on the phone. I believe you can also be unmuted and ask questions. And I'd be more than happy to answer them. Or if you want to save it till the end, because what will happen here is that I'll end up transitioning to retirement plans. So if anyone has any fresh questions about health insurance plans, I would encourage you to ask them. Okay. Also covers through government plans, like I said, Medicaid and CHIP. So CHIP and Medicaid are, of course, these are at the state level. You will apply, I believe Medicaid is abe.illinois.gov, if I'm not mistaken. And then CHIP will also be through a similar website, through a state website. Honestly, if you want to just screen for all of these, I encourage you to just go to healthcare.gov and explore what plans might be available through the marketplace, and also it will tell you if you're eligible for Medicaid or CHIP. Okay. I don't know if we want to do a pause here and see if anyone has any questions about health plans specifically before I start my presentation on retirement plans.
Thanks, Andres. If anybody has a question, please utilize the hand raising feature in the Zoom application, and Andres will surely address it. Or utilize the Zoom group chat. If you type your question there, we can answer it there.
I'll give it another 30 seconds here, see if anything pops up. Are you seeing any questions on your end, Ron?
No, I haven't seen any.
Okay. All right. Either way, if questions come up, I can always answer them at the end or as they come up. So we're switching to retirement plans now, which is another very important aspect of employer-sponsored benefits. So ERISA, which, as I mentioned, is the federal law governing health and welfare and also retirement plans for private employers. ERISA protects the assets of billions of Americans so that funds placed in retirement plans during their working lives will be there when they retire, obviously. And so dislocated workers face two important issues when they leave employment. These are namely access to retirement funds and continued safety of their retirement plan investments. So we encourage you to keep current on any changes that your former employer makes, including changes of address, mergers, and the actual name of the employer. This is subject to frequent changes. We know with so many mergers and acquisitions, you want to keep track of that. This is very important. If you move, if you have any change of address, we highly encourage you to reach out to the plan administrator and give them your new contact information. So this could be done one of two ways, I guess, namely. So you can contact your former employer, their HR department, and make them aware of this change. And or you can also contact the record keeper, meaning that a lot of companies, they use a financial institution to distribute benefits, to pay people out, to send out certain documents like the rules of the plan, et cetera, et cetera. If they have one, these are like the Fidelities, the Vanguards of the world, those type of entities, or banks like JP Morgan Chase or Bank of America. You could also reach out to them and make changes with them. I'm not sure who this employer uses, but again, it's very important to keep the plan informed about new contact information, because what happens is that if the plan does not have updated contact info for you, well, then now we run into a situation where, for 401k plans specifically, I guess, it could also be pensions and any other plan, but for 401ks, they can't get you your statement, so you don't know what the performance of your your plan is. They can get you new rules that might affect distributions, that might affect certain investment strategies that the plan is going with. So you want to make sure that you inform the employer of any moves that you might have. ERISA, of course, does not require that retirement plans provide lump sum distributions. This is kind of shifting focus a little bit. Lump sum distributions are possible only if the plan documents specifically provide for them. So generally, if you're enrolled in a 401k plan, this is also sometimes colloquially called a profit sharing plan, or any other type of defined contribution plan, meaning that 401k contributions are deducted from your wages. Your plan may provide a lump sum distribution of your retirement money when you leave the company. Honestly, I rarely run into issues where people can't get a distribution shortly after leaving the company. Some small companies have some rules where, they only do distributions at a certain time of the year, but I don't know if that's the case with this employer. I doubt it. Most employers, they're pretty good about distributing people's money soon after they leave, kind of to get that liability off of their hands. If you're in a defined benefit plan, I don't know if that applies to anyone here. Defined benefit plan is the traditional pension where the company contributes towards the plan, and then you get paid monthly, usually until the day that you die from a certain point. So usually age 65. Again, I don't think this applies to anyone, but if you happen to be a member of a union or anything like that, or maybe in the future, but like I said, benefits begin at a certain retirement age. These plans are less likely to allow you to receive your money early, and it's also very unlikely that you could receive it in a lump sum distribution. Usually it's on a monthly basis for life, past or after retirement age. So moving on, what options do you have regarding your retirement benefits? So if you leave an employer before you reach retirement age, whether or not you can take your benefits out and or roll them over into a tax-qualified plan or account will depend on what type of plan you're in. If you're in a defined contribution plan, which to my understanding, most people are, 401k plan, and you leave your employer before retirement age, in most cases, you'll be able to transfer your account balance out of your employer's plan. So these include a rollover to an IRA, of course, an individual retirement account, which you can open with with the same financial institution that your employer uses. If you have a bank of choice, like Chase or Bank of America, what have you, you can also open one with them or with Fidelity, Vanguard, MassMutual, et cetera, those companies. So with this, you can ask your employer to transfer your account balance directly into an individual retirement account, an IRA. There's, of course, paperwork involved in this, but usually there's not much trouble. If there is, definitely give us a call, and we would be more than happy to assist you and or inquire with regards to this distribution. You can also roll the balance over into another retirement plan. This is if you find employment soon, which we hope everyone does. Which is good. Actually, it was mentioned earlier in the presentation that there are certain employers that are looking to hire, so that's good. If they do sponsor a 401k plan, you will more than likely be able to request that your employer transfer the account balance into that new employer's plan. And also, you can actually receive a lump sum distribution, meaning you could cash out. Now, this you want to be particularly careful of. The minimum retirement age for 401k plans is 59.5, meaning that if you're over 59.5, you can cash out your money and you'll be fine. You won't be penalized. You'll pay a 20% tax at the federal level. If, however, you're under age 59.5, that's where you'll be slapped with a 10% fee for taking the money out before the designated time, and of course, this is namely to incentivize people to save for retirement. So if you're taking it out before your retirement age, you're going to face a penalty. Just know that. That's really it. Like I said, I won't dive into pensions because I don't know if anyone actually has a pension with this employer. If they do, give us a call. We can definitely give you more advice or answer general questions about these kinds of plans. Here's all our contact info. We're a government agency. We don't charge anyone anything. There's kind of this idea amongst some people that, they have to pay for our services because we also, we help people out with regards to sometimes medical claims, their appeal rights, or when it comes to retirement, we can also assist people in locating possible benefits from previous employers. A lot of people think that because there's money involved, we somehow get some part of that. No, this is all, again, funded through taxes. So we highly encourage you to reach out to us. There's 9 benefits advisors at our office, and speak multiple languages, so if that's an issue, or if you know anyone who that might be an issue for, certainly you can explain that to them. There's also the info for the marketplace, which, like I said, I highly encourage everyone to use because it screens you for other programs that you might be eligible for as well, and there is the number. So I'll open it up to any questions regarding health benefits or retirement benefits. If anyone has them, you can do that through chat. So we'll give it a few minutes here before transitioning then.
Thanks a lot, Andres. And then Marcus, our IT professional, says that folks can unmute themselves now. If they do have a question, you can unmute yourself to ask questions about anything we talked about so far. And as Andres mentioned, we'll give 30 seconds to see if there are any questions. And if you don't have any questions now, we'll allow another chance at the end. We'll check the group chat. We'll also allow folks to unmute themselves at some point during the end of our presentation. Well, with that, Andres, that was great information. And again, as I said earlier, his group does a great job at taking questions. If you call that number, you get a live person. And they are very helpful and resourceful, so take advantage of that. With that, our last presenter is Fernando from the Illinois Department of Employment Security. He's an expert at all things unemployment insurance, and he's going to speak to what that process looks like in the current environment.
Thank you, Ron. Just give me a second. I'm trying to see if I can have control of the screen.
And while Fernando does that, let me just add something that earlier in our presentation, Lindsay and Leslie at the American Job Center spoke to how you can utilize up to a $10,000 training grant in this area for a skills upgrade. So because you would have gone through an approved training program, if you do receive unemployment insurance, you can still go to school utilizing that approved training program grant and receive unemployment insurance simultaneously. This is an added benefit of folks who are in a Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act approved training program. And one other thing while it's on my mind, you are a dislocated worker because the company is going to release you from employment. So if you leave voluntarily, you could jeopardize your dislocated worker status. So it's important to stay until the company releases you from employment if you intend to take advantage of the employment and training related activities. And also, that could be true for unemployment insurance too, and I'll let Fernando speak to that. But if you leave voluntarily, you could risk those other benefits. And I'm not sure if you're ready, Fernando.
It looks like I don't have, we can't share screen controls. So I'm going to have Marcus, he's going to be moving the screen for me. It's going from slide to side, but well, let's begin. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Fernando Reyna. I'm with the Illinois Department of Employment Security here in North Aurora, and I'm going to be talking to you today about how to file for unemployment benefits, as well as what are the steps that you need to do once you file your claim and what to expect in the mail and what you need to do in order for you to start receiving benefits. Now, from what we've been told, your last day of work will be on the 14th of August. Okay, so at that point, one of the things that we are always asked is, can I file for my claim now? And the answer is no. You file your claim once you are separated from your employer. So you can file your claim actually on the 14th if you like to. If not, you can file your claim on the 17th. Preferably, it would be best for you to file for your claim on the 17th because no matter what, your claim will start that week, the week of the 17th. So you'll have a date of claim of 8/16. Your claim always starts on that Sunday. But when you file your claim, you can go to the next screen, please. What you would do is you would need to go to our website. Our website is right there at the top, www.ides.illinois.gov. And once you get to the screen, this is what you will see. It's changed a little bit since then, but you'll always go to the top left-hand corner where it says, I need to file my unemployment claim. And once you do that, you will click on that. Okay. And on the next screen, you will see, it will ask you several questions. What is it that you want to do? These are the things that you need in order for you to file. So once you get to that, you're going to go into the register, because if you have not filed for unemployment benefits within the last 5 years, it is important that you register with our website in order for us to verify who you are. So once you get to the login screen, there's going to be a tab at the very bottom where it says, if you have not established a username and password, click to register. Once you click on that, the very next screen will tell you what you need to do in order for you to register. Okay, you need to have two pieces of information with you. One of them is your driver's license or your state ID, okay, and the other one is your Social Security number. Now, I can tell you right now that one of the things that we are seeing with a lot of the individuals that are applying for unemployment is that they are entering their Social Security number incorrectly. Okay, they're either typing it a little bit too fast or they hit the wrong digit, but because at this point there is not a safety trigger that says your Social Security number is wrong or it doesn't match up, people are going through the entire registration process without that being checked. It's only after that the claim is processed that we start getting those red flags on our end saying that the numbers don't match up. Okay, so please be careful when you do file your unemployment benefits. Make sure that your information is correct, that your social security number, that your name as it appears on your state identification matches. Okay, if you have an out-of-state identification and it does not have a weight on there, go ahead and hit 0. Okay, so you can go ahead and continue. Okay. Enter the weight that's on the ID, not what you weigh now. So if you weighed less or more than what your ID tells you, always write down what your identification says. Okay? Once you complete the registration process, you're going to be receiving a username and password. Okay? And then you'll continue the application process. The application process is going to ask you where you have worked during the last 15 months. Okay, so if you've had a part-time job or if you had multiple jobs, you need to give us separation information for each one of those employers. Okay, if you're still working for that employer or for any other employer, you can still sit working part-time. Okay, so again, you have to tell us everywhere that you've worked during the last 15 months. Okay, once you complete the application process, you're going to be receiving UI finding letter. Okay, we can hit to the next screen, please. On the next slide, it'll tell you about the UI finding letter that you'll get after you file for unemployment benefits. Okay, you should usually receive the letter, the UI finding letter, within 5 to 7 business days after you file your claim. On that letter, it's going to give you a brief summary of your information. It's going to tell you whether or not you've claimed a dependent, what type of method of payment you are receiving, you're going to be receiving your benefits, who your last employer was, and what the reason of separation was. Along with that, you will also receive a claimant ID number. Now, the claimant ID number is our way of identifying you. Okay, so anytime there is inter-office communication, we always use a claimant ID to verify. And anytime you submit any documentation to us, it's always important for you to use the claimant ID and not your social security number when you're presenting or submitting documentation. Okay. Ron, my screen went blank. I'm not sure is something's...
Yeah, we're still showing here.
Yeah, you're still showing me? Okay.
Yeah.
So, I'm not sure what slide you're in, but the next one should be the UI finding letter.
Yep. Yep.
Okay. Okay. So the UI finding letter at the very bottom of the sheet, it'll tell you when your benefit year begins. Okay. Now your benefit year begins for you if you are filing on that week after your unemployment starts would be August 16th, 2020. So between August 16th, 2020 and August 15th, 2021, that is your benefit year. Okay. During that time frame, you will be allocated 26 weeks worth of benefits. Okay, based on the wages that you've had during the last 15 months. Okay, at this point, if the maximum amount you could receive is $484, if you're single and have no dependents. Okay, if you have a non-working spouse, in other words, your spouse is not eligible to collect unemployment because they have not worked. Okay, then the most you can receive is $577. Okay. If you have a dependent that is under the age of 18, the most you could receive is $669. Okay, you cannot have both. Okay, so it's either a spouse or a dependent. Okay, if you have more than one dependent, the amount does not change. You will still receive the same amount. Okay, so if you have a spouse that also works in the same building and is going to be filing for unemployment benefit, only one of you can have a dependent on their claim. Okay, so it's a one dependent per household. Okay, and if you have a spouse that has been collecting unemployment prior to you and they had the dependent first, then they get the dependent, they still continue to receive the dependent, and you cannot add them. Okay, that's normally how that works. Okay, when you get your finding letter at the very top as well, you will have two pieces of information. One of them will be your biweekly certification and your certification day. Okay, the certification, that is what you will do. That is the day that you call in to check in to certify for businesses, to certify for benefits. We'll ask you a series of questions, and the questions I'll show them to you in a few slides. They'll ask you a series of questions to see whether or not you're able and available and actively seeking work. Now, if you are taking a WIOA approved training program, if you are enrolled in a WIOA approved training program, you still have to say that you are available for work and that you're actively seeking work. Okay. However, we will not require you to submit any work search to the unemployment office. Okay. And as it was stated before, if you are in an approved WIOA training program, your unemployment benefits do not extend beyond the 26 weeks that you originally were allocated. Okay. And there may be there is a way for you to extend it slightly, but that'll be with whether or not you have a part-time employment, and I'll get to that in a couple of slides. Okay. So certifying for benefits, you can do it one of two ways. You could either certify online by going to the same website and clicking on the section where it says I need to certify for my unemployment benefits. Okay. Or you can call Teleserve to certify for benefits, and the number to Teleserve is 1-312-338-4337. Okay. And you can call Teleserve from 5 a.m. to 7:30. Okay. And the questions that they'll ask you are, have you received or will you receive holiday pay during the period of Sunday through Saturday? Did you work during the period of Sunday through Saturday? Has your dependency status changed? Now, when we mean does the dependency status change, that means if you file for unemployment and did not have a dependent, and then you have a child during the period that you're certifying for, then that's the only time you would answer yes to that question. Okay? But if you already have a dependent and you have another child, and you indicate that, all that will do is will stop the benefits until you can get a hold of somebody to correct that. Okay. The next question is, were you able and available to work each and every day of the work week, the normal work week? Okay. So if you have a return to work date and you say, no, well, I'm not available for work because I know I'm going to go back, that's not correct. What that question is asking, if your employer called you to work the very next day, for example, if your employer calls you on a Wednesday, can you come in to work on a Thursday? If the answer is yes, then you are able and available to work. Okay? But let's say, for example, that some of you take a vacation. And like, oh, well, I'm going to go fishing in Wisconsin for about a week. Are you available for work? Then in that situation, your answer would be no. You are not available for work because you have removed yourself from looking for work because you've gone fishing. Okay? The next question when in your certification process is, did you actively look for work? Okay? That answer is yes. Okay, you have to be able and available and actively looking for work in order for you to collect unemployment. Okay? The only time we will question you whether or not what you're doing to look for work is when we start seeing a pattern that you're not doing it, or we get some type of information to tip us to let us know that you're not actively looking for work. Okay? Or let's say, for example, that you decide to get surgery and your doctor says, well, you're not going to be you're not going to be looking for work because you need to be at home resting. Well, at that point, you're not looking for work. Okay? Have you received or have you applied for primary Social Security benefits is another question. Okay? As of now, Social Security benefits is not a disqualifying income, so you can receive your Social Security income and it will not penalize your unemployment. Okay? Other than Social Security, are you receiving or have you applied for any retirement or disability pension? Now, if you are receiving, let's say that you're receiving a pension from a former employer, okay, but you haven't worked for that employer in over 5-7 years, okay, As long as you haven't worked for that employer within the last 18 months, then it's not going to affect you. Okay. But if you have worked for that employer within that time frame, then you need to submit information with regards to when you last worked for them and what type of benefit you're receiving. Okay. The same thing if you withdraw some type of if you draw from your pension. Let's say you take out a loan on your or you take a loan against your 401k. The moment that money touches you, then it becomes income. Okay, but if you're going to roll it over to something else, then it doesn't affect you. Okay, same thing if they're going to give you a severance package. Severance package in the state of Illinois is considered a gift, so it will not be penalized. Okay, so you don't have to report it as long as it's considered a severance package. Okay, did you attend school or are receiving training? This applies if you are attending the WIOA program. Okay. And for some of you that are maybe are not going through WIOA but are decided to pursue or maybe go back and get your associates or get your bachelor's, then this would apply to you as well. You would have to notify us whether or not you've decided to return to school and fill out a questionnaire along with the work search to let us know what you're doing with regards to employment while you're attending school. Okay. The next question is, did you have a current workers' compensation claim? Okay. If you've got an injury on the at work and you're collecting workers' comp, then you need to let us know, because by saying that, that means you're not available for work because you are receiving compensation for an injury. Okay. The next question is, has your phone number changed? If your phone number has not changed, you can answer no. Has your mailing address changed? If it has, let us know. Okay. So what happens if you decide to pick up a part-time job and collect unemployment? Okay. So technically you can work, right? You can as long as you're not earning over your weekly benefit amount. So, for example, if your weekly benefit amount is $400 and you decide to pick up a part-time job where you're working a couple of hours at a restaurant or you're working, as a cashier, but you're earning less than half of your weekly benefit amount, then as long as you report the wages when you earned them and not when you received them, okay, then it will not affect your unemployment. Okay, so for example, let's say your weekly benefit amount is $400, and you decide to pick up a part-time job, and you earn less than $200. Okay, so if your earnings are $190, you'll still receive the $400, right? If you earn more than half, right? Let's say, for example, $210. Then $10 will be coming off the $400, and you will receive $390. Okay, and let's say that you work, they give you a lot of hours for that 1 week, and you earn over $400. Then for that week alone, you are not eligible to receive benefits because you've been gainfully employed for that week. You can file an additional claim the following week, so you can start your unemployment back up. Okay, but normally when you report wages over your weekly benefit amount, your claim stops for that week. It does not mean that you won't be eligible to receive ever again, but for that time period, you're not eligible. Now, if you work less hours the following week, go ahead and file a claim. Okay. At the end of your unemployment claim, when you first file it, you should receive a claim summary. Now, in that claim summary, there's going to be a username and password. Well, actually, it's just a username for your Illinois JobLink account. Illinois JobLink is part of the process that needs to be completed in order for you to start receiving benefits. Okay, it's our work forum, so it's basically any job openings that are available in the state of Illinois. There are plenty of them that are listed on this website. Okay, it is a requirement that you at least activate your account within 7 days of you filing for unemployment benefits. Okay, when you first file, you should receive a notification. If you do it online, you will receive a notification at the end of your claim stating this is your username. If you file it over the phone, you should see a letter mailed to you with your username. Okay, by default, your social security number is your password. when you first file. And if you've never had a username, an account with Illinois JobLink before, your Social Security name will default as your password. Once you log in, the system will automatically ask you to create a password to go along with your username. Okay. One of the things that you will do is, of course, once you get your username, you will go on to Illinois JobLink. The website is www.illinoisjoblink, all one word, .com. You will go to the top right-hand corner, and you will click Login/Register. You will click on that. And once you get on that, you will need to create a job seeker account. Okay. In order for you to complete your registration, of course, you have to complete the profile. That means not just log in and create it. You have to complete the profile. Okay, so they're going to ask you a series of questions to see what type of jobs you are you have skill set for. Okay, because the system will look for jobs for you. Okay, if you answer enough information, it'll curtail your job search and sort of give you an indication like, look, these are the jobs that are available based on your skill sets. Okay. You must create a resume. So if you already have a resume, all right, you can upload your resume to our to the Illinois JobLink. But if you do not have one, the system could generate one for you. Okay, you just have to answer a series of questions. Okay, we always ask claimants to, when they give their resume, when they create a resume and they have to give their resume a title, that you use your experience as your title. So instead of saying Tim Robinson's resume, if an employer is looking for people that have experience in welding, and they look at Tim Robinson's resume, they're not going to know anything about Tim. But if Tim was to say 15 years experience as a welder, looking for full-time work, then that, if an employer sees that, there's like, oh, well, here's Tim. Let's take a look at his resume. Okay, so that's just one of the things that you should do. The job title is definitely the job that you're trying to find. Okay, so you always want to enter that information, and it's pretty much it's very it's detailed in what it's asking. So it shouldn't be that hard. It should take you maybe about 15 to 20 minutes in order for you to complete it. But another cool thing about the Illinois JobLink is that you can actually keep a record of all the things that you do to look for employment. So, for example, if we send you a letter stating you need to provide us with a work search for the period of, let's say, for example, June 7th through the 20th, okay, and if you've been using Illinois JobLink, you would go to the website, right, and you would say, looking for, let me go to my work search, and it'll generate a work search for you. And I think there's a slide on here that'll explain a little bit later. But let's say that you want to look for a specific job. So you go to the main website. You go to the main page and you click on looking for a job, right? Once you click on it, you need to tell the system what type of work you're looking for. So if you're looking for something in manufacturing, okay, you're going to say, I'm looking for something in manufacturing that is in the Kane County zip code, and I wanted something within 15 miles of the zip code. So by clicking on that, it'll generate a list of any position that has that job title in the description. Or let's say, for example, that you want to look for a job down in Champaign. Okay, and you're like, I want to see what manufacturing jobs are in Champaign because I have family that lives down there, and I may want to go down there and stay with them for a while. So you would do the same procedure. Instead of saying something in the Kane area, you would put in the Champaign zip code, right? And once you do that, tell it how far you're willing to drive, and it'll generate a list of the jobs that are available within that zip code. Okay, and that's for any zip code in the state of Illinois. It'll let you know what positions are available on there. Okay, and again, like if you wanted to create a work search, there is a link for that. You would go to your home page, okay, and then you would scroll down to go to a work search record, okay, and it'll create a listing of all the things that you've done within Illinois JobLink. Okay, you can say I want to do a work search record, and you'll give it the parameters of what date to what date you want it, and it'll show all activity that you've done while you've been on Illinois JobLink. Okay, let's say that you want to do one on your own, like separately, like places that you've gone outside of Illinois JobLink. You can do that as well by clicking on Create New Work Search Record. Once you click on that, you'll indicate a new activity, and you'll just input the information with, the places that you've gone, what type of contact what was it, the address, the name of the location, and you're able to add notes. And once you're done with that, just make sure that you click on Save at the bottom, and you've already generated a work search. Okay. Once you've completed your profile on Illinois JobLink, on your home page, it should say you are UI registered in green. Once it says that, that means you've completed that part of the registration process. Okay, and after that, it's up to you. You can continue using it. If you don't want to, that's fine, but you have to have your registration on Illinois JobLink completed. If you do not have your Illinois JobLink account per your profile completed, you won't be able to receive your first benefit. So this is one thing that is a requirement, unless you have a return to work date or unless you are part of a union. You do have to complete the registration with Illinois JobLink in order for you to receive benefits. Okay. Some people may have questions concerning the extension, okay, or the stimulus package. As many of you know, the stimulus package actually ends this week. Okay, Congress is still working on it. They're trying to figure out whether or not they're going to continue the benefit, the additional $600, after this week. So unfortunately, at this time, I cannot give you an answer on that because we don't know. We don't know until Congress makes a decision and then they let us know. So in the meantime, I would just say as soon as you are laid off, you could either file your claim that Friday, or preferably, I would think that it would be a lot easier for you to file that Monday. And you can do that either online or over the phone by calling the call center. I know that it's very difficult, and I know everybody has heard stories that it's very hard to reach unemployment, and I wish I had a better answer for you. So if anything, I would strongly advise for everyone to file their claim online, which is probably the fastest way to get it through. My contact information, if you really need to get a hold of me, and my suggestion would be to send me an email. And that's the best way for you to get a hold of me. Trying to call me on the phone, it's almost mission impossible. So I will be unfortunately my email's not on the list, but I can definitely give you my email. It's my name, so it's Fernando, FERNANDO .Reyna, REYNA @Illinois.gov. So hopefully I know this is a lot of information, but hopefully it'll give you some clarification on what you need to do in order for you to file for unemployment benefits. If you have any questions, please feel free to let me know or just send me an email. If you're working part-time, okay, you're still eligible to receive benefits as long as it doesn't go over your weekly benefit amount. So if your weekly benefit amount is $400, okay, then this is just an example. If it's $400 and you earn less than $200, then it doesn't affect your unemployment, okay? But once you earn over half of your weekly benefit amount, then it's going to affect your unemployment dollar for dollar. For example, if you earn $210, that's $10 more than half. So $10 will come off the $400 from unemployment, and you will receive $390. Okay, if you earn $400 or more, then for that week you're not eligible to receive benefits. Okay, because at that point, under our definition, you were gainfully employed for that week. So the following week, you can file for if you're back to working only a couple of days, and you you don't think you're going to be making over your weekly benefit amount, then go ahead and file an additional claim for that week. Was that it?
Yep, Fernando, if you don't mind, and it seems like it's maybe a two-fold question for Fernando and Andres. The question is, in the group chat, if someone takes a 401k distribution, will that affect the UI payment? Also, is it dependent on whether the 401k monies were contributed by the employee or the employer? And finally, does it matter if the distribution reason is age 59 and a half, hardship, coronavirus related, or termination? So I guess, first of all, if someone takes a 401k, will it affect their UI payment?
Only the week that they receive it. Only for the week that they receive the payment.
All right. And then, Andres, for the second part of that.
Mm-hmm. So
does it matter if the I'm sorry.
Oh, no, you go ahead.
Oh, so I was saying, does it matter if the distribution reason is age 59 and a half, hardship, coronavirus related, or termination?
I think I know what they're asking. So I guess what they're asking is if someone happens to be under age 59 and a half and they take a hardship distribution or something related to coronavirus, will they be penalized for that? I do not believe so. This would be a hardship distribution, of course. Like I said, there is a limited amount of time, and if anyone has any questions, please reach out to us and we could deal with this on a case-by-case basis. But if there obviously is some kind of like hardship loan or anything like that, there's a limited amount of time for a person to then, like pay it back to the plan, right? Kind of like a loan. But we can talk about this on a case-by-case basis. But are you penalized? To my understanding, no. But there are certain terms that you have to meet, and we can coordinate that with the employer as well. And we can look into it at our office on a case-by-case basis.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate that. And this is an IDS-related question. So it says, for a job search, do you take into account disabilities, for example, a mobility disability?
Probably that's probably I need a little more specifics on that question. Like, does it mean do they have transportation issues that's limiting their work search, or is it they themselves have a disability and it's limiting the type of work that they could find? Is that the question?
That's what I would infer from what they're asking.
No, as long as it is, as long as they're looking for work within their capacity, that's really the gist of the question. So for example, if let's say that someone has that someone got their arm injured, right, and the doctor says, well, you're under restrictions, you can't lift over 10 pounds, okay, and you really should sit for at least 15 minutes an hour. Okay, those are all restrictions. As long as the individual was looking for work within those restrictions, then they're making themselves able and available and actively seeking work. And
makes sense.
As long as they meet that criteria, that's not going to infringe on their benefits.
Thank you very much. That makes sense. And while we take a pause here, Lindsay or Leslie, do you mind sharing your American Job Center information screen just to be clear that how folks can access or get in contact with you guys while we're answering questions? I just want to show your office information, if you don't mind. And while we do that, are there any other questions in the group chat that we can attempt to answer? All right, one question says, if you get a temp job making more than $400 a week for a few weeks, do you skip certifying while you're working, or when you certify when that job is gone?
All right, can you repeat that question, please?
Sure, absolutely. It says if you get a temporary job making more than your weekly benefit amount for a few weeks, do you skip certifying while you're working? But then when you certify when the job is gone is the question.
No. At that point, if it's lapsed more than 2 weeks, then you should really file an additional claim. Okay? You should really file an additional claim because obviously your last day of work will have changed. Okay? For example, let's say that you were laid off on the 29th of June, okay, and you found work the very next day. You filed your claim on the 29th. You filed your claim on the 29th of June, and you collected unemployment. But then, sometime around the 13th of July, you found a part-time job. Okay, so for the week of the 13th through the 17th, and the 20th through the 24th, you made over your weekly benefit amount. Okay, so you're wondering, can I certify on the 27th for those weeks? Okay, and the answer is no, because you've made over your weekly benefit amount for the weeks of the 13th to the 17th and the 20th through the 24th. So at that point, you would have to file an additional claim because there's a new employer that's been added to your work history. Okay, so maybe the who is going to be chargeable for the claim may be the same, but the information needs to be updated. Okay, and then we get it. There could also be a problem with that because some people, they don't want to let us know who they work for, or they may feel like, no, I really don't want to do that to them. So I'm just going to go ahead and just reopen and not change it. Well, sooner or later, we're going to find out that you did work. And if that information is incorrect, we're going to stop your claim somewhere down the line to investigate that. So it's always better just to be honest up front, tell us who you worked for. That way your claim is always correct, and then there is no questions about what you're trying to do. So my suggestion is always, if you're making over your weekly benefit amount, the very next week when you're not going to be working as much, go ahead and file an additional claim. And it's very easy. All you have to do is log in, file a claim like if you were filing a new claim. But when it gets to your work history section, all you're going to do is add the new employer and the dates of employment, and that's it.
Thanks a lot for that. That was fantastic.
Ron, this is Andres. I have a clarification to make on the question that we had previously. I apologize. So I wanted to take a look at the IRS's website since they also have a hand in administering, the CARES Act. And so actually, one of the most commonly asked questions is, if I have to, or do I have to pay the 10% additional tax on coronavirus-related distributions from my retirement plan or IRA? Of course, this is referring to if you're below the minimum retirement age, which is 59.5. And the answer is no. The additional 10% tax on early distributions does not apply to any coronavirus-related distribution. The comment that I made about loan repayments is specifically for hardship loans. So just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for that quick update. So I want to remind folks that there's important information in the chat. I see a question. I'm going to get to it. But there's important information in the chat. Our folks, partners at the American Job Center, have entered a link for a survey. And the purpose of that is to perhaps get your email address for later communications. Also, we use it to determine what resources are necessary to folks that are part of this layoff and how to designate the proper amount of resources so that we can serve people better. So please complete that survey. Also, our partners at the American Job Center have entered a phone number to reach them by and other information with respect to how to access services at an American Job Center for employment and training activities. Now, an employee asks, or has a statement, many of us have been employed, but with few or no hours and are already receiving unemployment benefits. Do we need to reapply as a laid-off employee?
If you're already collecting unemployment benefits, then no, you don't have to file unless you make over your weekly benefit amount. If you're collecting as of right now because of reduced hours, then you just continue the process. You continue certifying, okay? The only time your unemployment will be stopped is if you make over your weekly benefit amount. Or if you, I'm sorry, let me clarify that. If you report wages over your weekly benefit amount, okay? And if you're collecting unemployment right now and you're reporting your wages, right? As long as you report your wages when you earn them, not when you receive them, you should be fine. And when you report your wages, there's usually a section that tells you, are you still working? Okay. If you say no, then it's going to ask you to enter what is the reason of separation. You can say layoff, discharge, or quit. Okay. Now, if you say discharge, which means fired, or if you say quit, that will stop your benefit payment. Okay. But if it's a layoff, in other words, the employer has no work for you, then that will not stop your benefits from being paid. And you just continue the process and certifying every other week.
Thanks a lot, Fernando.
Sure.
So I'll pause to see if there are any other questions. I think we covered them all so far. But in the interim, if Lindsay, Leslie, Andres, Fernando, you'd like to add any other last important information, feel free to do so. So I'll summarize that we talked about employment and training activities, how a person could access assistance with their transition to other employment. We talked about continuing health coverage and important retirement benefit information. And of course, our last speaker, Fernando, covered some important details with respect to unemployment insurance, all valuable information. As I'm talking, I see there's another question. If we get a new job right now, before August 14th, should we be sure to give 2 weeks notice in case we're let go from that other job? Well, that sounds like a question that you consult with your employer about. Just to be clear, perhaps you can articulate a little more about, is it 2 weeks notice with unemployment insurance? So I'll wait for a little clarification there. It wasn't clear about what the question was.
Yeah, I'm sort of confused on that one as well. No mail. No mail. This is the only one from King County.
Let's see. It sounds like what I get from the question is that perhaps this person was on the IDS website and it says they thought they answered a question about giving 2 weeks notice. Does that sound familiar at all, Fernando?
No, if you get a new job right now before 8/14, you should be sure to get 2 weeks. No, I think it's more of an HR question, because they're saying that if they get a new job before the 14th, do they quit that job?
We'll defer to HR for that one then.
Yeah.
All right, just another couple seconds here. And just a reminder that this presentation will be recorded and we will provide it to your HR folks as soon as it's available. And if they don't mind sharing it with the participants, then you can access it at a later date. And for any of your colleagues that were not able to make it today, they will also be able to view the entire presentation at a later date. So with that, if there are no other questions, we appreciate your time today. We encourage you to take advantage of the resources that you can as soon as possible. And good luck on your transition to other employment. And with that, there's no other feedback from our presenters. And thank you very much for your time.